So I bought a box of crayons, mostly because I thought that they would just be fun to like add to different drawings, maybe do some mixed media stuff. I really enjoyed using the pastel options in Rebelle 5 to like add outlines to things. And I thought crayons would be a fun texture in real life, and I didn't really feel like spending money on oil pastels. Maybe someday, but just not right now. A box of crayons costs $5, and why not, right? And so I bought a box of crayons. And then I actually like started doodling with them, and I really enjoyed myself. And so I decided to do a whole thing. Came up with the idea of just a big sunflower. I mean, not the most original idea, I'll admit, because I'm not a very original person, but it is what it is. I really loved the brightness of the colors, though, and I really wanted to do a flower. I love flowers. I thought it would be a lot of fun to just do a really simplistic sort of front of a flower. Not very much going on in terms of perspective or depth or anything, but I really wanted to showcase the texture of the crayons. Because that's one of the things that I really enjoyed when I was like doing my doodles, was the texture that I was getting. And like, crayons are very weird. They're just very weird. You end up with like blobs of wax, and it's hard to get smooth blends, but they're very bright, they're very fun, and I was finding myself getting this sort of almost impressionistic kind of feel to it, which I really enjoyed. So I thought it'd be fun to do something that is less about the subject of the piece and more about like the actual medium being used, which is crayons. I really had a lot of fun with this. There was definitely some trial and error involved because crayons are a little temperamental. They don't lie down particularly well because they kind of deposit wax in like chunks occasionally, especially the harder you press. So I really started with pretty light layers to build up color and to try to blend a little bit because, like I said, they don't blend particularly well, which is fine. I'm of the belief that you should work with the medium, not against it. I wasn't really trying to get really smooth blends anyway. But I was layering it pretty lightly so I could get some depth of color, not just one flat color. And the problem is, once you start really pressing down, once you start adding a bunch of crayon onto the page, it does get a little tough to work with. Which is why I started using an X-Acto knife. I started using an X-Acto knife because crayons are just laying down wax on top of the paper. It's not really staining the paper so much. You can just scrape it off if you don't like whatever you're doing. So I started doing that. Now there is the problem that it can be pretty time consuming to remove all of the wax. So I wasn't really trying to. I actually liked the texture that I was also getting with the X-Acto knife and the sort of streakiness, I guess, for lack of a better word, because they are kind of streaky. But I liked, like, if you keep them going in the same direction, you know, the lines going in the same direction, I think it lent itself very well to like the texture of the petal, which is another one of like the really important things I learned while working on this is really consider what direction you're coloring in, because that can actually add to the piece too. I'm not quite there in the video yet, but the center of the flower was really fun to do. So for the petals, I was really trying to stick with the direction that the petals were going in when I was coloring. Just straight lines from top to bottom of the petal, trying to imply that sort of texture that petals have, I suppose. With the center of the flower, I had to like try to figure out how to imply the texture of whatever the heck the middle is called, like the pollen and stuff. Now, sunflowers look kind of fuzzy in the middle, and they feel kind of fuzzy too. Then they have an even more center part that looks a little bit more like seeds and is a little bit flatter. So trying to recreate that texture with the crayons was really fun. It turned out that it was mostly just doing swirly motions over and over again, and also starting with like really light pressure and building up the color on top to more imply blending than actually blending, because you can't really blend too well with crayons. But it was so much fun, and I really love the way it turned out. I thought it was so much fun to make. It looks, in my opinion, really cool. I still have it open and I'm still kind of looking at it, and it just makes me smile. I had so much fun drawing this. It took forever because there was a lot of trial and error while making this, and also it's been a wild few months trying to find time to do literally anything. So this took me like several hours over the course of the last few weeks, because life is a nightmare. Anyway, in the end though, I think it came out really well. I didn't want to do the background with crayons though. See, like I said, I really wanted to explore the texture of the crayons with this flower. I thought that if I continued the background with the crayons, it would actually take away. So I ended up pulling out a Prismacolor colored pencil and filling in the background with just a solid blue. This was probably not the best idea because I pretty much destroyed that pencil. That pencil is, I mean, I still have like half of it, but it is what it is. I was worried, I thought about doing markers at first, but I was worried that it would bleed into the crayon, and I didn't want to ruin it, so I kind of did some practice with the markers and on a different page, and it didn't work out too well, so I figured I would just eat the pain to my wrist and the cost of half of a pencil to do the background. Unfortunately, I for some reason chose the one pencil that my Michaels doesn't carry open stock, so there's also that. That's very fun. It's fine. I'll find somewhere that has the color. And it's not like I don't have other blue colored pencils. Anyway, I think it did its job, which was to create a nice discreet background. You know, I didn't want it to compete with the flower. I don't think it does. It did a good job getting nice, a smooth blend, and I figured the blue would contrast pretty nicely with the yellow of the flower. You know, it's a cool tone color and the flower is warm. I'm happy with the results. I think it came out pretty good, even if my wrist does now hurt. Anyway, I hope you liked it. If you did, like, subscribe, or don't, I don't know, I'm not in charge of you. Thanks for watching. See you next time, I guess. Bye!